Okay, picture this. You're just walking down the aisle in your local supermarket, and everywhere you look, brown cardboard packaging, green leaves, earthy tones. You see labels screaming, eco-friendly, carbon neutral, 100% sustainable. Indian brands are literally spending millions to convince you that they're practically saving the planet. But behind all these glossy, feel-good campaigns, a massive regulatory trap is snapping shut. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving deep into the unspoken reality of corporate greenwashing right here in India, and we're going to see exactly how a fierce new wave of strict regulations is ending the era of fake sustainability for good.
So it really begs the question, right? Are these brands actually saving the planet, or are they just protecting their profit margins? For years, the Indian consumer market has just been flooded with products claiming to be eco-friendly or 100% pure. But now, regulators, consumers, and auditors are finally looking under the hood. The Wild West era of loose, unverified claims is officially over. And as you'll see, when a brand's marketing fails an audible test today, their hard-earned reputation can vanish literally overnight. And honestly, the scale of this deception, it's kind of staggering. According to a 2024 study by the Advertising Standards Council of India, an astonishing 79% of green claims made by organizations were found to be exaggerated or totally misleading. Just let that sink in for a second. Nearly 8 out of 10 environmental claims you see are essentially tricking the consumer. It's a full-blown crisis of trust, and the authorities have finally had enough. So, what exactly are we dealing with here? Let's ground this explainer in the official definition from the ASCI and the Central Consumer Protection Authority, or the CCPA. Basically, greenwashing is the practice of making unsubstantiated, false, or deceptive environmental claims about your products. But it also includes this incredibly deceptive tactic called cherry picking. This is where a brand highlights one tiny positive environmental initiative, but deliberately hides their massive, highly polluting operations behind the scenes, just to appear way more eco-friendly than they actually are.
Let's break down the anatomy of a lie. We've all seen these buzzwords. Eco-friendly, 100% natural, chemical-free, pure, toxin-free. As consumers, we're practically programmed to trust these words. But here's the crazy forensic reality. Historically, these common vague marketing phrases have had zero legal definitions under Indian food or cosmetic regulations. They are legally meaningless buzzwords, totally designed to exploit consumer goodwill. And today, they collapse completely under modern scientific scrutiny.
Just imagine a major FMCG brand slaps a 100% natural and chemical-free label on their soap. The marketing sounds amazing, right? But then an auditor walks in and asks, okay, what's the exact chemical baseline of your product? Where's the life cycle assessment that actually proves this? When the soap gets tested, the auditors find synthetic surfactants and artificial chemicals inside. And the brand, they don't have certified third-party proof, just some generic internal PDF. Boom. Instantly, the claim is flagged as legally deceptive.
Well, to stop this kind of deception, there are basically 3 major sheriffs in town now aggressively policing the Indian market. First up, we have ASCI, the watchdog for advertising. Second is the CCPA, protecting consumer rights with serious statutory backing. And third, we've got SEBI, the financial watchdog, making sure publicly listed companies aren't lying to their investors about their environmental and governance metrics. Together, they've built a really tight multi-tiered regulatory web. And just to prove how serious this has gotten, take a look at the official Central Consumer Protection Authority's Gazette from October 2024. This is not just a polite suggestion from an NGO. This is strict government regulation explicitly defining and prohibiting greenwashing. It mandates that absolutely any brand making an environmental claim has to substantiate it with verifiable evidence. The days of unchecked marketing claims in India are legally closed for business.
You can also see it clearly in the regulatory guidance notes. Authorities are now demanding absolute truthfulness and accuracy. You literally cannot just say your packaging is made from recycled materials anymore without ironclad proof. The government demands that all of these claims be backed up by credible, independent third-party certifications or highly verifiable internal data. Bottom line, if you claim it, you legally have to prove it.
Meanwhile, over on the corporate finance side, SEBI has rolled out the BRSR core framework, and this directly targets financial greenwashing. If you're one of India's top 1,000 listed entities, you can't just publish some glossy sustainability report full of vague promises anymore. You are legally required to publicly report fully auditable ESG data, like super-specific Scope 3 emissions. If a company raises green bonds for an eco-friendly project, third-party assurers are going to verify exactly where every single rupee went.
So all of this builds into an absolute disaster for companies that get caught. It's a massive domino effect.
Usually, it kicks off with a viral social media call-out from a smart consumer, or maybe a competitor files a complaint. That triggers a formal regulatory investigation, leading to an SCI or CCPA fine. Then, the bad press causes a sharp drop in stock sentiment, and finally, institutional investors, who have their own strict ESG mandates to follow, pull their capital out entirely.
And we're not talking about a little slap on the wrist anymore. Under the Consumer Protection Act, if a brand is caught violating these greenwashing guidelines, first-time offenders face massive fines and up to 2 years imprisonment. For repeat offenders, no joke, the penalties can escalate to up to 5 years in prison and staggering fines reaching 50 lakh rupees. The financial and legal risks of faking your sustainability have literally never been higher.
But the most crucial point here is this. Beyond the heavy fines and the potential jail time, the ultimate cost of greenwashing is losing what we call a company's social license. This is the public's baseline acceptance of your brand. It's the trust of your consumers, your employees, and society at large. Once you get exposed as a greenwasher, that public trust just shatters. And let me tell you, buying back that irreplaceable social license takes years, and it costs infinitely more than just running an honest marketing campaign ever would have.
Okay, so how do brands actually survive and thrive in this strict new reality? Well, based on the source material, we've put together a concrete survival guide for corporate teams. Let's call it the Clean Blueprint. To safely market sustainability today, you've got to follow 3 absolute rules. Rule 1, practice radical specificity. Rule 2, hyperlink the proof. And Rule 3, mandate cross-team audits. Let's break these down. Rule number 1 is radical specificity. You have got to ditch those vague terms entirely. Never, ever just say, our new packaging is eco-friendly. That is a massive trap. Instead, practice radical specificity. Say something like, this packaging reduces plastic usage by 24% compared to our 2024 model. See the difference? The good claim is precise, it provides a clear comparative baseline, and most importantly, an auditor can actually verify it. Moving on to rule number 2, hyperlink the proof. As mandated by the CCPA, brands are now fully expected to use modern digital tools to back up what they say. The guidelines require material disclosure via a QR code or a URL. So, if you're making a big environmental claim on your packaging, put a transparent QR code right next to it. Make sure it links directly to your independent lab certification or your CBI BRSR report. Basically, show your work.
Hey, speaking of certifications, you've got to rely on legitimate ones. Both consumers and brands need to be looking for legally backed third-party certifications. For food in India, that means the Jaivik Bharat logo or India Organic NPOP. For appliances, look for the official Energy Star rating. For cosmetics, rigorous standards like EcoCert Cosmos Organic. These are the only types of logos that hold actual legal weight. Brands absolutely have to stop designing those fake, look-alike vector graphics with random leaves and globes that literally mean nothing.
Finally, rule number 3, and this one is huge. Keep your marketing and compliance teams in the exact same room. The days of letting a creative advertising agency launch some wildly ambitious environmental campaign in a silo, those days are totally over. Every single green claim, every script, and every piece of packaging has to be audited and verified by the legal and sustainability teams before it goes public. If the data doesn't back up the pitch, well, the pitch has to change.
Which really brings us to our final and honestly most powerful takeaway from all this. In today's market, if you cannot prove it, do not say it. Look, the transition to a genuine, sustainable economy in India is an amazing opportunity, but it absolutely requires radical honesty. The cost of faking it isn't just a regulatory fine anymore. It's losing the trust of the very people who keep your business alive. So I want to turn it over to you now. Have you noticed any questionable green claims on stuff you've bought lately? Maybe a shampoo claiming to be 100% natural, or some plastic bottle claiming to be entirely eco-friendly? Let's chat about your experiences in the comments below. And hey, if you found this explainer helpful, definitely share it with your peers in marketing, compliance, or corporate leadership. Thanks so much for joining me, and as always, stay curious.